starting the webinar. We are on.
Hello, everybody. Greetings from Geneva. Good morning at our time here. Good afternoon in India. And hello to others of you around the world in your time. It's my pleasure to welcome everybody to today's fourth and final session of our wonderful course. My name is Christine Housel. I'm from Globethics.net based in Geneva, Switzerland. And as you may have heard, Globethics.net is an international forum committed to ethics in higher education. And I'm going to present a little more about that later. Thank you for joining us for this course on research ethics in higher education. This online course is a joint effort of the Internal Quality Assurance Cell of Rani Anna Government College of Women and Globethics.net India. We thank each and every one of you for being with us today, and especially if you've been with us throughout the 4 days. We begin today's session with the content talk by Dr. Shnaoli Chakraborty Acharya that will be followed by a presentation by myself on ethical foundations of partnership and really focusing on an orientation to globethics.net and how you can connect with us. We are recording the event and the link will be shared on request so that you can continue the learning. And I see that many of you are already introducing yourself in the chat. And my experience in the first 2 days is that everyone was really very active. And this adds to the excitement and interest of the panelists and the participants. When we see who's in the room, where are you living? Where are you based? What is your position? And then as you begin to hear the presenters, it's really interesting to hear your comments, your reactions, and of course your questions. And we're going to have time to engage the presenters with questions and comments. And so please do put your questions in the Q&A and your comments in the chat. Again, I extend a warm welcome to all of the speakers, the panelists, and all participants who have connected with us from India and around the world. And now over to Professor Dr. Darling Selvey.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Greetings to one and all connected here for the fourth and final day of the course on research ethics. I take this opportunity to introduce Dr. Shnaoli Chakraborty Acharya, who is the Assistant Professor of Department of Education, West Bengal State University since 2019. Formerly, Madam had been working as Assistant Professor in Foundation course at Calcutta Girls BT College, West Bengal for nearly 2 years, and the faculty in charge of B.Ed in distance mode at Directorate of Distance Education, University of Burdwan, West Bengal for 4 years. Her areas of interest comprises of pedagogy, educational psychology, leadership and management in education, women's studies, and techno-pedagogical skills in teaching. She obtained her PhD in education psychology from University of Kalyani. She has published articles including research papers in international and national peer-reviewed journals and contributed chapters in different edited volumes like American Scholarly Press, USA, Stanford Educational Development International, New Delhi, International Journal of Research, etc., etc. She has presented papers and addressed more than 30 international, national, and state-level conferences and webinars, including Switzerland, Bangladesh, and Austria. She has been the faculty coordinator in a minor research project titled Each One, Reach One, COVID Mission, providing emotional support to COVID affected and non-affected persons under the aegis of Mahatma Gandhi, National Council of Rural Education, Ministry of Education, Government of India. She has authored a book, Enhancing Achievement in English Learning, published internationally by Lambert Publishing House, Germany, and credited with 3 edited books published by Kanishka Publishers, New Delhi, New Delhi Publication, and ABS Books, New Delhi. She is a member of Asia Europe Meeting Lifelong Learning Research Network 1, Adult Continuing Education, University College Code, Ireland, and the chairperson of West Bengal Chapter, Council of Educational Administration and Management, Kerala, India. She has been awarded with a grant by National Commission for Women, New Delhi, for conducting a webinar titled Women at Workplace, Is Gender Equality Still at Crossroads? So from these brief note, we can understand that ma'am had a wider experience in various perspectives of education as well as technology. Dr. Shnaoli Chakraborty Acharya is here with us today for delivering her presentation on publication ethics and practices, which is the most vital need of the researchers. Let us give her a virtual round of applause and welcome you, ma'am. Ma'am, the floor is yours now, and we are eagerly waiting for your valuable address.
Warm good afternoon to everyone. Thank you so much for this noble introduction. And I extend my heartfelt thanks to everyone for having me here. Father Reverend Jose Nandikara, Christine Housel, and all the other dignitaries, resource persons present here, and the principal of Rani Anna Government College for Women, Tirunelveli, and finally Globethics.net India. I am highly privileged to all these people for having me here, for giving me the opportunity to present myself before you. And especially, I would like to extend my gratitude and thanks to Professor Pushpanatham, the curator of this course, for feeling me fit to speak on this topic today. So today is the last day and the final day of this faculty development program being organized by the Rani Anna College and Globethics.net India. And the topic is extremely relevant for the higher education researchers who are attached with higher education, the faculty members, and most importantly for the students also, because from the very beginning of higher studies, today the trend is we need to publish, otherwise we will be perished. So with this thought in mind, today I'm here to speak on the topic publication ethics and practice in this wonderful session. So today publication, as we all know, that publication has become the lifeline of the research scholars, the faculty members, and the students are also taking interest from the very beginning, that is from their master's level only, irrespective of any discipline, maybe science, maybe humanities, maybe arts, or maybe management, and so on and so forth. So without publication, without documentation, our researchers, our papers, our findings have no value at all. But there are certain things that are related with publications, and that are the values or the ethics related with publication. The day has come where we cannot simply cut and paste and put someone other's writing in our name and publish it in the books and the journals. We need to follow certain ethics, and that has been guided by various organizations, including our UGC. So today we will be discussing on this publication ethics. Let us move forward to the flow of the session today. So for the benefit of the students and the research scholars, I have divided my session into two segments. First one is room one, that is setting the stage, excuse me, where we will be discussing on why do we publish, or what is the importance of publication, the status of publication in Indian higher education, and a brief overview of article writing. In room two, that is the second segment, we will be diving deep into the matter, that is the publication ethics and something more. Here I have decorated this room with the concept of publication ethics, types of publication misconduct, consequences of unethical behavior, how to publish ethically, and finally responsibilities of author and the editors. As because publication is not only the part of the author, the editor or the publication, the publisher is also very closely related with the publication process. So editor and the publishers are also part and parcel of the publication process very neatly. So let us now move forward to room one. First and foremost, the question that comes to our mind, that why do we need to publish? We are in the arena of higher education. The students might think that we are learning a lot, we are studying, we are going to the libraries, we are spending hours after hours, we are searching the Google, the area we are interested in. But what is the importance to publish? Why should we publish? So primarily for the sake of documentation, because what we are doing, it is very important to get it documented. Unless and until it is documented and it is reached to others, we cannot claim that this work has been done by us. Simply because there is no documentation, no proof which we could show to others that this has been done by me. Anyone could say that, no, this is actually patent of mine, not yours. So simply for the sake of documentation, we need to publish. Secondly, the roots of scholarly scientific publishing. Here, we could trace back from where this publication started. It could be traced back to 1665, where Oldenburg of the British Royal Society, he established the journal. He established one journal from the Royal Society, and he has mentioned the purpose of journal was to document the original thoughts and record it as a written form. So as long as from 1665, the scientists, the philosophers, and the researchers, they have felt the necessity to publish mainly for the sake of documentation. Thirdly, budding researchers consolidate their researches through publication. The researchers who are starting with their research work, they consolidate their researches through publishing it in different journals, book chapters, etc. And the peer-reviewed journals, which are much known these days, peer-reviewed journal, to the scholars and to students, I mean, they validate the research, which is very, very important. Say, if we publish something or write something and it is not validated, we cannot claim that this is authentic, that this is a valid statement, or this is a valid research work. So it needs to get validated by peer-reviewed journals, which also, the journals should also be authenticated by some agencies. Otherwise, those validation by the journals cannot also be accepted. And finally, authors are recognized at the institutional, national, and international level. So here we are specifically speaking about the academic work, not the fictional work. So here by authors, I mean to say the researchers who are in the field of higher education, they are all recognized by their publications at the institutional level, national and international level through their writings. Here is a snapshot taken from one research paper. It is showing us scientometric analysis, status of publications of top Indian universities during the year 2015 to 2019. So here we could see that 5 universities has been chosen. 5 universities are there. And one graph has been set here, showing that how the publication process is growing upwards in respect of these 5 universities. DU here stands for Delhi University, BHU stands for Benares Hindu University, JU stands for Jadavpur University, PU Punjab University, and AU stands for Anna University. So here we could see from 2015, it is growing upwards. The publication is growing significantly. And at the same time, we could find that how these 5 universities are taking part in the original research process. Another snapshot taken from skimager.com. Here we could see the journals. Here journals are taking a very, very important part in the publication process, other than the books, book chapters, and book reviews. So journals rankings are also very important for a researcher to find out through the internet that in which journal they are going to publish. So here we could see some Indian journals according to their rankings. All these journals, they are ranked according to their publication or their citation age indexes. First one is Indian Journal of Social Work. Second is South Asia Research. Third is Sociological Bulletin. Fourth one is Journal of South Asian Development. Fifth is International Review of Modern Sociology. And sixth is International Journal of Sociology of the Family. And there's a big list actually. As a screenshot is taken from this website, only 6 could be mentioned here. So these are the rankings, journal rankings. And these rankings help us to understand from where we are standing in respect of higher education, in the area of higher education, where we are standing in respect of publication. Then coming to another screenshot taken from Google Scholar. Here we could find that the social sciences, in the area of social sciences, what are the journals and how they are ranked according to their publication process, according to their citations actually. These are the journals: Journal of Business Ethics, Computers and Education. Here the whole discipline of social science is taken into account. And we know that there are many subcategories. I'm coming to that in my next slide. There are many subcategories included in social sciences. Here, as a whole, the social science journals have been ranked, and that has been cited by Google Scholar. In number 1 comes the Journal of Business Ethics. Second is Computers and Education. Third is Research Policy, so on and so forth. Here we could find that one subcategory has been chosen, that is education. As because I am from the field of education, there's might be a little bit bias in my choosing of the subcategories. But anyway, there are many subcategories here included within social sciences. And here we could find the journals are listed accordingly, according to their citation indexes. Teaching and Teacher Education, Studies in Higher Education, Review of Educational Research, British Journal of Educational Technology, and so on and so forth. Okay. Then coming to one table, which is showing a figure, which is showing that the global publication share of India in the social sciences. As we specifically belong to the area of social sciences, I have tried to find out where India stands in the area of social science publications. So here, India is sharing the global publication share and where we actually stand. in the year starting from 1995, then 2000, 2005, 2010, and up to 2015. So we could see that there is a rise in the growth of publication in the social sciences, in the social science discipline of the Indian higher education institutions, and it is eventually going upwards. The next figure is showing India's global share across subfields in social sciences. As I have mentioned earlier, that there are so many subcategories under the social science discipline, and here only some of them are mentioned here as the study has been done, and the study has been done by Dhawan Gupta, and it has been one could here get it. Actually, the link is shared here. Takes this link, you could get the whole study over there. So here only 5 areas have been mentioned: the social science in general, decision science, business management and accounting, economics, econometrics and finance, and psychology. So here in the different subfields of social sciences where India is standing. And we could see that in science, decision science, here the graph is moving upwards, but in psychology, it is not that satisfactory. Now, just to give a very brief overview of the different types of article. What are the different types of article? We are very much accustomed with different journals, different kinds of topics that are written by the authors there, but somewhere we miss what are actually the different kinds of writings that we could publish in the journals. In the first place, we could put the original research articles. This is actually the original research work in any field of social science. If we talk about only social science, or if we talk about the science field, it is obvious that without original research, the students belonging to the science faculties, they cannot publish any article. So original research article, they are concerned with original research work, original data, original raw data, and this is absolutely the quantitative kind of research work they used to do. And here, all the methods, hypotheses, objectives kind of things, that format they used to follow here in the original research article. And second, we come to the review article. Review is also another kind of article writing, which we could find very frequently in different journals. Review article is actually the kind of article writing where we need to review different articles. We need to go through different articles and find out the similarities or the dissimilarities, or find out one specific point of study there and review accordingly. There could be literature reviews, systematic reviews, and meta-analysis. So literature reviews, if you simply review the literature of that those articles, that is literature review. Systematic review is the kind of, if you systematically analyze it, focusing to a specific point, that is systematic reviews. And meta-analysis, if you analyze it differently, that comes for meta-analysis. Then clinical case study. This is actually the case study kind of thing, and specifically the students belonging to the medical science or from psychology. If we cite examples from social science, we could say that in mostly in psychology, students used to do the case study. They frequently publish their papers on case study, different kinds of case studies. Fourth, in number 4 comes the clinical trial. This is specifically for the medical students. Number 5 is perspective, opinion, and commentary. There are different kinds of commentaries one could made on different topics. Perspective studies are there. Commentaries are actually, these are short articles, and they draw attention on a particular kind of criticism, where if we select one article, and may not be article, maybe something else, maybe some other papers or some other, any other kind of writing, and the researcher here or the author here wants to comment on it, that is a kind of criticism kind of thing. And that also comes under one kind of article writing. And opinion, here actually the author reviews the paper and puts his own opinion there. And perspective study. Perspective study is another interesting kind of article writing, where the researcher studies the different perspectives that has been put forward in that particular article. And finally, the book review. Here, the author needs to review one book, go through a book very minutely, and find out the different aspects, different perspectives of that book, the topic that has been mentioned there, and accordingly review it. And also the book review process includes the process of criticism from the part of the author. Actually here, author's opinion and author's commentary is very important. And the present slide will be giving a very common but still very important, discussing on a very important point, that is the ISSN and the ISBN. We are very used to these two codes, and we know sometimes we could say a little bit of it, but specifically what does it mean? It may not be clear to everyone. So here I've tried to focus a little bit on ISSN and ISBN, which are very important to check if we want to publish our writings in journals and in books. So ISSN is the International Standard Serial Number, and it is used for, we could find this ISSN number specifically in the journals or the magazines and in many booklets or newspapers. ISSN cannot identify the publisher of the series. Through ISSN number, the publisher, who is the publisher, that may not be identified. In many cases, we cannot, it can be or may not be identified. And the application of ISSN is optional. If, say for instance, if I wish to publish one magazine, I may use ISSN number, I may not use it. It's on my discretion whether I will be using this number or not. But obviously, if ISSN marked magazines or journals, they have a good impact on the journals and they maintain a specific standard. Now coming to ISBN. ISBN stands for International Standard Book Number. It is specifically used in the published books. It is used for single books or monographs. ISBN can identify the publisher of the book. Through ISBN, we could identify the publisher, and the application of ISBN is a mandatory for a book publication. No choice will be entertained regarding publishing a book, and the ISBN number is not mentioned there. So here we are having a little bit idea of the different kinds of articles and the most important things associated with the article publishing and book publishing, that is the ISSN and ISBN. So at this point, I would like to stop for 1 minute and ask the participants, rather invite the participants if they have any questions before moving on to room 2. And here we will be going on a different segment. We will be discussing on a different segment. I could stop for 1 minute and wait if the participants are having any questions regarding this segment of my discussion.
Okay, let's see. Do we have any questions? Let's see, in the Q&A. Somebody says, no, it's very clear. And there's another question which goes to your second part. So we'll wait.
Okay.
Does anyone have any specific questions? This is very helpful to really go to the basics, you know, about publication. All right. Okay, I don't see any.
Okay. Okay. I'm moving. Now coming to my second part of discussion. This part is having concept of publication ethics, types of publication misconduct, consequences of unethical behavior in publishing, how to publish ethically, and the responsibilities of author and editor. So what we actually mean by publication ethics? The word ethics is integrally related with integrity, that is academic integrity. According to UGC, academic integrity is defined as the intellectual honesty in proposing, performing, and reporting any activity, which leads to the creation of new knowledge, intellectual property. So ethics is associated with values, and value is associated with integrity. And here we are specifically discussing about academic integrity. Academic integrity stands for those kind of ethics where we need to be honest. We need to be rather intellectually honest while in proposing, performing, and reporting any activity in the written form, which leads to the creation of new knowledge. And intellectual property here stands for that this research work or this part of writing belongs to me, and it's my property, not in the common sense what we mean by property, rather it is my intellectual property as I have created this, or rather I have done this research on my own initiative. And any attempt of compromised academic integrity should be challenged, questioned, and de-recognized at all levels. So from the second part, or rather the second part of the guideline by UGC, we are very clear that violation of this academic integrity could lead to punishments. And so any kind of, if the authors or the researchers, they attempt any kind of a violation, they attempt any kind of disregard to this ethics, they could be challenged, questioned, and not only that, if they are working, they will be punished professionally. If they are not working, they will not be able to publish their writings or research work, and so on and so forth. I will be coming to those, what will be the kind of punishments. I'll be coming to those in my coming slides. So from here, we could get that publication ethics is very important regarding publication in books, journals, and so on. And unless and until punishment is associated with rules and regulations, it's the common nature of human being that we it's our normal tendency to violate all those rules and regulations. Therefore, UGC has also attached some kind of punishments with this violation of publication ethics, so to make it more stronger, and so that the academic researchers, they abide by all these rules and regulations of publication ethics in their academic writings. So here is again one snapshot taken from chemistryworld.com, and it is the kind of misconduct or the retraction. So here we could see that at the very middle of the figure or the circle, 331 retracted papers. Here, this website is showing www.chemistryworld.com, showing 331 retracted papers. Retracted papers are those papers who are denied the publication. They are not accepted, or rather, authors are asked to withdraw their papers. So 331 retracted papers have been identified, and what are the issues related with this retraction? That has been shown here very nicely. So at the very topmost section, we could find the honest errors, which is very paradoxical in nature. Rather, in our in English literature, the term is called oxymoron. Errors cannot be honest, but always there's these two words stand in opposite to each other, honesty and errors. But here we could see that in our academic publishing, one term exists like honest errors, where experimental error could be there and theoretical error could be there. So this kind of errors are considered as no error that could be accepted for publication. That will not make the paper retracted from the publisher. And among these 331 retracted papers, 54% of them are having this honest errors. And to the right side of the honest errors, 62% are there. 62 articles are there that has been found with unclear authorship, affiliation error, and missing authors. Therefore, this could be put under the umbrella term of authorship issues. So there were some issues regarding the authorship. The authorship is not clear, or the name of the authors were not clear here. And affiliation error, in the sense, this affiliation mentioned by the authors, those things are not clear. And in some cases, authors are missing. Missing authors in the sense, it might be found by the authority that the particular paper or the particular article has been written by 4 authors, but only 2 authors has been mentioned here. So here, the issue of missing author is coming here, and a lack of authorization, which is an important part, that is the referencing. So here, authorization is missing. And 139 papers have found with plagiarism of other authors. And among this plagiarism, some part is self-plagiarism. That means the authors are taking or simply cutting and pasting their own materials, own writing materials to another article. That is the self-plagiarism. Duplicate publication is also there, and plagiarism of other authors. They are taking some part of others' academic writings and putting that in their own papers without authentication. And finally, some data issues have been found in 90 articles. There could be problematic data, there could be falsified data, and there could be data ownership problem or disclosure. From where the data has been taken, that has not been mentioned clearly. That kind of problem arises. So this figure shows the different kind of misconducts that we usually find, or that we could usually term as the publication misconduct. There are many others as well, many other kinds of misconduct as well, but these are the most common among them. Now, let me discuss these problems, these misconducts one by one, a little bit elaborately. Coming to problems of authorship. First is the gift authorship. Gift authorship is the inclusion of authors who did not contribute significantly to the study. So there is a tendency in some cases, in some articles or in some researchers, to include the names of authors who have not contributed rather significantly to the study, but still their authorship or their names have been mentioned in the particular article or research work. And there are several reasons for doing this. Why should one include some other author's name in their articles? What are the reasons behind this? One could be the hierarchy, expectation, or favor. Let me explain this a little bit. Hierarchy, in the sense, the authors might be putting the names of someone who are significantly, means they are having significant positions for their promotion, for their career development, and so on. So with expectation of some favor from those hierarchy or from such people, they are simply including their names in their research papers. Another could be show off to colleagues. Show off to colleagues is it is a matter of prestige for some of the academic publishers to show the colleagues that they are having increased number of publications day by day. They are having so many publications in so and so journals. They're publishing books maybe in every 6 months or in every 1 year. And therefore, they have a latent urge of getting increased publication. And that becomes a kind of show off. And if we really go deeper into the quality of those publications, they may not stand to the expected mark. And therefore, a tendency of gift authorship happens in this kind of publications. And second one is very interestingly called the ghost authorship. Here, the absence of authors. First one is the inclusion of authors, and second one is the absence of authors. It is just the opposite of the first one. Like here, some authors have contributed significantly to a particular research work, but their names are absent from that paper. So professional writers, if any, should be acknowledged. So when some researchers or some authors are taking help of some professional writers, though this practice is in itself is absolutely unethical, but still, if they are taking any help from the professional writers also, in that case, they should also be acknowledged in that particular paper. And this may happen for various reasons as well. For the hierarchical, for the political and personal reasons are mentioned. This could happen means the authors need to, they don't like to put the names of different authors, maybe because of some hierarchical reasons, professional reasons, maybe because of some political reasons, or some personal reasons as well. But this kind of ghost authorship is very frequent, as we have seen in our last slide, that out of 331 retracted papers, a specific number of articles are having this authorship problems. So this is a very common feature of the retracted articles. Next one is the overlapping publications. Overlapping publications are, overlapping publications could also be of different types. First is duplicate submissions. As from the name we could get, duplicate submission is, one is duplicating or simply copy and pasting others' writings by their name and submitting to the editors or the publishers. And duplicate publication could be of two types: redundant publication and secondary publication accepted. About redundant publication, I'll be discussing a little bit more in my next slide. And secondary publications sometimes get accepted. That means the publication which is not worth publishing in that sense, or might be having some secondary data which are not worth mentioning there, or different other issues related with secondary data or secondary research work. This kind of publications, rather unimportant publication, unimportant research papers, those are accepted by the publishers. And competing manuscripts, that is the same study or the same database. These are again mentioned in another paper. These are called the competing manuscripts, which are often submitted to the editors. And again, the third one is the sibling publications. Sibling publications are related papers submitted to different journals with no cross citation. So without any cross citation, they are simply submitted to different journals. Related papers submitted to different journals. Now coming to competing manuscripts. Manuscripts based on the same study. When two or more than two manuscripts are there with the same study, so we could easily get that that's a kind of duplicacy being done on the part of the author here, and disagreement on analysis or interpretations, or two options are there. So if one tries to simply copy others' research work and put it in his own research, in his own article, the analysis or the interpretation may not match, and that could be very problematic for the paper, for the research work. Two papers on the same study and single paper with commentaries. These are the kind of disagreements that are found in this manuscripts, in this competing manuscripts, and there could be disagreement on methods or results. So in these cases, in duplicate manuscripts or competing manuscripts, there could be disagreement on methods and results, as because the second author who is duplicating the first manuscript, he may not be citing the results as perfectly as the original author has done in his original paper. That is the actual idea. And publication refused until differences resolved. So until these differences are resolved between these two academic publishing, academic writings or academic papers, publications are refused. Well, so once these things are not resolved by the publisher or by the editor, or in the review process rather, one cannot publish, rather the second author cannot publish his paper. And next is manuscripts based on the same data sets. Publication may be justified if different analytic approaches are used. So manuscripts based on the same data set is the same in different manuscripts. So in that case, publication may be justified if different analytic approaches are used. So there is some relaxation in this case, as we could note, that even if two researchers are using the same data sets, they could publish if their analysis, interpretation of that raw data is different, their way of approaching is different, and their interpretation is different, and they are interpreting the same data in their own different way. In that case, those manuscripts could be published. Anyway, it also comes under the competing manuscripts. Then coming to redundant publication. So in redundant publication, where publication of a paper that substantially overlaps with an already published article. And this is absolutely unethical. So it is overlapping with an already published article. Therefore, in very simple words, we could say that this particular article has been copied from somewhere else, and the author has copied this manuscript, and therefore the two papers are substantially overlapping. So this is absolutely unethical, and it wastes time of peer reviewers and the editors, wastes resources and journal pages. If it gets published, then that's a wastage. That's a wastage of money, that's a wastage of paper, that's a wastage of energy, and finally that's a face loss for both the author and the editor as well, and leads to flawed meta-analysis. And at all, if this is done, that is one article is overlapping the other, then it leads to flawed meta-analysis. The meta-analysis that will be inferred from this second overlapped article, that will be full of flaws, and it distorts academic reward system and infringes on copyright. That violates the copyright as well. Now, plagiarism is a very common word regarding publication misconduct. And we all know nowadays, we are all very much aware of what is plagiarism. So without going much deeper into the definition of plagiarism, I would like to say, why is plagiarism so pervasive these days? Why it is so rampant? So publications are important for career development. That's a kind of, that has become a lifeline for the researchers, for the research scholars, for the academic writers, for the faculties of higher education. They need to publish. In anyhow, they need to publish. And these are important for career advancement. Therefore, if they're not having that much time, or they're not that much resourceful enough to publish a fresh paper or fresh academic article, they take the help of plagiarism. Secondly, the highly competitive academic field. The higher education sector is getting highly competitive day by day. And to keep pace with this highly competitive field, the faculties and the researchers, they sometimes plagiarize their content. Pride associated with good publication. So it's obvious that if one's academic writing is gets published from a very renowned journal, so it is a kind of, it's a matter of prestige associated with that. It's a matter of pride for them. It's good to say to others that, see, my paper has been published from Routledge or Research, and without looking into the consequences, what will happen in future, they simply plagiarize their content. Less time to concentrate on intellectual work due to busy schedule. As we are undergoing a busy schedule day by day with the faculties of higher education, the scholars, the students, everyone. So it actually needs time to concentrate on intellectual work. The intellectual work or the cognitive work cannot be binded up within minutes or seconds, or rather hours. It could take time. Good academic publishing may take 1 month, 2 months, maybe more than that if primary research work is associated with that. So due to our busy schedule, we often take the shortcuts for publishing. Urge to get degree without any hazard. Here, dissertation is mentioned. Also, PhD will come here. And dissertation for the master's students and PhD as well. So to get a degree, people plagiarize. Robust use of internet literature. Sometimes unaware of the fact that this could be used, or unaware of the CC licensing, people use the internet literature in their own writing. No strict action. So as plagiarism is so pervasive these days, no strict punishment is still there to combat this plagiarism process. And improper review of articles, book chapters. When one article is sent to a publishing house or a journal, sometimes the review of articles are not that good enough to give the green signal to publish these papers in the renowned journals. And that is another reason for the plagiarism. Here are some software tools for detecting the plagiarism. Some are free and some are commercial. And I'm quite sure that students, scholars these days, they are much aware of these websites, these tools, and they might be using many of these in their writings as well. Okay. Now coming to the punishments. Plagiarism policy in the purview of UGC. So this is a snapshot taken from the website, taken from one UGC guideline. And it shows that UGC, Promotion of Academic Integrity and Prevention of Plagiarism in Higher Education Institutions, Regulations 2017. This is a snapshot taken from there, screenshot rather. And what will be the kind of punishments for this plagiarism? So here we could see that three levels have been mentioned. Levels of punishment have been mentioned for plagiarizing one content. Level one is concerned with similarities above 10 to 40%. If after a plagiarism check, we get one article is having similarity with other contents less than 10%, then it could be considered as an original paper. That if it is restricted within 10%, we cannot call that this paper is at all having any plagiarized content in it. So above 10% to 40%, plagiarized, the 10% to 40% similarities, if one academic writing is having, then the authors shall be asked to withdraw manuscripts submitted for publication and shall not be allowed to publish any work for a minimum period of 1 year. So that particular author or authors, they will not be allowed to publish anywhere within a period of 1 year from that particular date, if they have sent one plagiarist content to publishers within the similarity of 10% to 40%. Level 2 comprises of 40% to 60%. So here the authors shall be asked to withdraw manuscripts submitted for publication and shall not be allowed to publish any work for a minimum period of 2 years. So here they are having a restriction for 2 years, as because their writing is plagiarized, their writing is having similarities with other contents that are available in the internet, which is in between 40% to 60%. And they should also be not allowed to be a supervisor if they are faculties to any UG, PG, Masters, MPhil, PhD student scholar for a period of 2 years. So this is a punishment for the faculties of higher education, that they will not be allowed to guide or supervise the dissertations or the PhD scholars. Level 3, where the similarities are above 60%. So that's, we could call it absolutely plagiarized content. And here the author shall be asked to withdraw the manuscript submitted and shall not be allowed to publish for a minimum of 3 years. And they shall be denied a right to 2 successive annual increments and shall not be allowed to be a supervisor to any UG, PG students, scholars, and MPhil students in their whole career. So these are the kind of punishments for sending plagiarized contents to the publishers or the editors according to UGC Regulations 2017. And what could be the editorial actions? For redundant publication, editors could also take some actions. They could promptly reject the submitted paper if a redundant paper already has been published. These editors, they themselves could take a step for violating the rules, and they could they could promptly reject those papers, notice for withdrawal of duplicate publication. They could put a notice and ask the author that that duplicate publication should be withdrawn by the author himself, inform other editor or publication involved of copyright violations. That particular editor could inform other editors as well, so that that particular author cannot publish their academic writings in other journals or in other books. And finally, this editors, they could inform the authorities or the employer, that is where that particular author is working in their institutions, or author of an institution of author, for appropriate actions to be taken. So that's information may come from the part of the editor to the institutions where the author is working for his plagiarized work. Now, coming to how to publish ethically. With all these misconducts being done by the researchers and the academic writers, authors, we are now having in mind that how could we publish ethically? What are the steps that we need to follow so that we could be ethical in our judgment of journals? We could be ethical in our writings. What are the regulations we need to follow, or what are the things that we should keep in mind while publishing our original research content? So first and foremost, we should take care of reference and bibliography. While referencing is a very important part of any kind of academic writing, any kind of publication. So references, there's a difference between reference and bibliography. References, they usually come at the end of a text, paper, or research report, and should contain only those works cited within the text. So within the paper, we need to reference some research works. We have to base our academic writing, or we have to base our opinions on some research works, and those research works need to be referenced. And that will come under the references, where we are simply quoting or we are taking that part of, or that idea, or that particular paper, and we are referencing it in our own work. So that part will come, that journals, that dissertations, that maybe PhD thesis, maybe books, that will come under the references at the end of our academic writing. And bibliography is a little bit different. Bibliography is the list of references at the end of a text, whether cited or not. So bibliography are those books or those papers which we may not cite in our original paper, which we may not cite or refer in our academic writing, but somehow we are benefited with that particular book or that particular paper in writing this paper. So that books will come, or that papers will come under the bibliography portion. It includes all texts served as background reading and conceptualizing. So while conceptualizing one original paper, we need to read a lot of things. Maybe newspapers, maybe blogs, anything. So that will all come under bibliography if they are not directly cited in our research work, in our academic writing. So there are several styles of referencing. The widely used referencing style in the social sciences is the APA style, which we are very much aware of, is the American Psychological Association style, widely accepted in the social sciences. And now we are using the 7 APA format, 7th edition, which started from 1st October 2019. There are also different other referencing styles as well. One is the Modern Language Association, MLS style, mostly used in literature and humanities. Another is the Chicago citation style, used widely for academic writing in the humanities, social sciences, and natural sciences. And next is the Harvard referencing style, used primarily in the humanities and also in the social science subjects. But mostly we could find this Chicago citation style, or Chicago manual style, it's also called. And the APA format we use mostly in our social science papers, social science writings. And there are different citation or referencing sites that are available as well in the internet. So these are just a few of them. And I hope the students and the scholars, they are all exploring with all these sites. Among them, this Zotero is very popular. And with the help of all these citation sites, referencing gets very easy for us. We could, as we know that while writing any academic paper, the referencing process gets very tiresome for us. We, the authors, are very much aware of the referencing portion, and therefore these citation sites are there to help us. We could take help of these referencing sites and reference all the things that we need to mention in our academic writing. Now, coming to journals' impact factor and rank. So impact factor is associated with journals. The journal's impact factor, GIF, is the ratio of the number of citation of the journal's articles to the number of the total citable articles published in that journal over a fixed period of time. So impact factor, journal impact factor, it keeps on changing. The impact factor of any journal, that keeps on changing. And it's actually the quality indicator of one journal. And it is there is a specific process of counting the impact factor. It is the ratio of the number of citations of the journal's articles of a particular author and to the number of total citable articles published in that journal. This is a kind of process that has been done to find out the impact factor of a particular journal, and it keeps on changing over a fixed period of time. One should also look at the relative standing of a journal in a given subject category based on GIF. So the researchers or the authors, they could also look at the relative standing of a journal in a given subject category. So if we search subject-wise, if we search the journal subject-wise, say for instance, within social sciences, we need to find out journals of education, journals of psychology, journals of sociology. We could search that way to find out the impact factor of that particular journal. The GIF determine aspects of journal quality. These are the quality indicators. That is how many times the articles that are published in these journals, they are cited by different researchers globally. And while there are several journal metrics, the journal impact factor invented by Clarivate Analytics in the 1960s has been one of the oldest reputed publisher neutral metric trusted by the researchers and research organizations worldwide. So impact factor is most popular among all these rankings. Journals are now mostly ranked on the impact factors. And this has been invented in the 1960s. And now it is worldwide popular to indicate the quality of a particular journal on the basis of the impact factor. There are certain indexes that we get where if we search, even in my previous slides also, when where the slides are showing the different rankings of the journals, there also some indexes were mentioned by the side, at the right side, some indexes were mentioned. So these indexes are also indicators, quality indicators as well. So age index is, there are several indexes. H index is one of them. And now the Itin Index is getting much popular these days. H index is a number intended to represent both the productivity and the impact of a particular scientist or a scholar. It represents both the productivity and the impact of a particular scientist or a scholar or a group of scientists or scholars, such as departmental or research groups. So it actually shows how one scientist or one researcher is productive in respect of their good academic publications. And it is calculated by counting the number of publications for which an author has been cited by other authors, at least that same number of times. For instance, an H index of 17 means that the scientist has published at least 17 papers that have been cited at least 17 times. At least 17 times, minimum of 17 times. That could be cited much more than that. But if they are cited at least 17 times, then that will come under the H index. So H index of 17, that means his paper will show H index 17, which means that scientist has published 17 papers, and all the 17 papers, that means he is maintaining a good quality, a minimum quality in all his papers. This is actually the what the index means. That is, he is not degrading. He is maybe upgrading in his different publications, but he is not degrading. That which shows that all his 17 academic publications have been cited by at least 17 researchers or people worldwide. Then comes the Itin Index, the newest in the line of journal metrics, and was introduced by Google Scholar in 2011. So it's an initiative by Google Scholar, the Itin Index. It is a simple and straightforward indexing measure found by tallying a journal's total number of published papers with at least 10 citations. So it comes with a journal, like one journal, how many research papers have been published by one journal, and at least each are having at least 10 citations or not. That comes under Itin Index. Okay. Now coming to another very interesting as well as important aspect of original paper writing, which is called the conflict of interest. That is, this is very frequently seen if students go through 5 papers. This conflict of interest might not be present there in all theoretical papers, but in research papers, this is obvious to be present. And if the students go through some of the research papers just after the completion of this session, they could get that conflict of interest is quite common, and they are mentioned at the last portion before the reference section. Conflict of interest is mentioned by the authors. So it describes the situations where the impartiality of the research may be compromised because the researcher stands to profit in some way from the conclusions they draw. This has been stated by Dan A.G. Koilia E. et al. So it is a kind of declaration, we could say. It's a kind of declaration. It describes the situations where the impartiality of the research may be compromised because the researcher stands to profit in some way the conclusions they draw. Whether the researchers, whether the authors are being influenced by any kind of interest or not, that the authors need to declare at the end of their research paper that yes, by citing conflict of interest, by declaring that yes, I'm not influenced by any, I have no conflict of interest with so and so, I'm declaring that I have no any latent interest in publishing this paper, kind of things. And there could be various reasons behind this. There could be various ideas associated with conflict of interest. Say there could be financial relationships, there could be personal relationships. So there could be some financial relationships regarding publishing a paper. There could be some money transactions kind of thing, like consultancies, employment and shares. And there could be some personal relationships in publishing one research paper, maybe academic competition, maybe intellectual passions. And by declaring in conflict of interest, the author actually says that there is no conflict of interest with anyone in publishing this paper. And this has now become a part and parcel of publishing any research paper. This is the peer review process. Now, as we are discussing about how to publish ethically, obviously we will be choosing some journals, some good journals, good peer-reviewed or blind peer-reviewed journals, so that we are not tended by any means to publish any plagiarized articles in the journals. And to support this, the good journals, they undergo the very systematic and long review processes. And this strict review process actually takes care of the quality of the journal. So it is very important for the academic writers, authors, to choose a peer-reviewed journals for their academic publishing. So this is the process. New submission, from new submission to editorial review, then comes the external peer review, then the editorial decision, and finally the paper is accepted. And here we could see that in the editorial review, there could be editorial rejection as well, looking into the quality of the paper, and in all this academic publishing, first and foremost, the authors are asked to submit their plagiarism report with their paper, and if they are found guilty, that could be, their paper could be rejected by the editor himself. And after that comes the external peer review, and there could also be a rejection from the part of the reviewer if the article is not up to the mark. Then finally comes the editorial decision, and finally the paper is accepted. And once the paper is accepted, that will get published in that particular journal. And within this external peer review and editorial decision comes the revisions part. And here the author of the particular paper is asked to revise the paper according to the reviews. So that's a long process. It takes maybe 3 to 6 months, maybe more than that. And once all these reviewers and the editors get satisfied with the quality of the paper, then only that particular work gets published in a good, reputed, peer-reviewed journal. Now coming to the ethical responsibilities of the authors. Authors should not fabricate or manipulate the data. Manipulation of data is offensive actually, as well as fabrication also. Avoid plagiarism and give proper acknowledgement to other works. Decide the order of the authorship prior to writing the paper to avoid future conflicts. So if there is more than one author for a particular article, the authorship should be decided at first. Who will be the author, or who are the authors for the particular paper, that should be decided at first to avoid this ghost authorship and different authorship issues. Declare whether research work has been published or presented before. So they have to declare whether this kind of articles have been presented before or not. Declare the COI of that. Avoid ghost, gift, or guest authorship, because these are already discussed before. I'm not stretching it much. Do not submit the manuscript to more than one journal for simultaneous consideration. So once sometimes, usually authors out of quick publication, for the sake of quick publication, they used to send their papers to different journals and wait for its publication. But this actually is not ethical, as because if the paper gets accepted by one editor and simultaneously it gets accepted by another editor, the publication process will be delayed much more, and that could be more problematic in different ways. Take approval from the Institutional Ethics Committee before conducting a research. If it's a primary research, data-based research, then approval should be taken from the Institutional Ethics Committee before conducting this research. Finally, take direct responsibility for appropriate portions of the content. So the content, the data that are being presented, or maybe the figures, the drawings, anything, the tables, all those things that will be produced in that particular paper, the author should take direct responsibility of that. And there are some ethical responsibilities on part of the editors and reviewers also. They should maintain confidentiality. Once the Word file is sent, the original Word file is sent to the editors, they should take care that that should not be out to anyone else. Not to misappropriate ideas or text. Emit reviews that are justifiable and without bias. So the reviews, the editors should take care that the reviews should be without bias, and transmit information to authors in a timely fashion, and declare any conflict of interest. So these are the responsibilities that the editors and the reviewers should follow while reviewing the paper. Now, just to have a glance on some organizations, those who are guiding the publication ethics. There are three organizations. Out of them, two are associated with mostly with medical sciences. First one is the International Committee of Medical Journals Editors, ICMJE. Second one is the World Association of Medical Editors, WAME. And third one is the Committee on Publication Ethics, that is the COPE, abbreviated form. Here's a screenshot has been taken from this first one, International Committee of Medical Journals Editors. They are very careful about the ethical side while the publication of the medical papers in the medical journals. Second one is the WAME, W-A-M-E, and they have one different window showing the ethics case discussions. They have their different, they have their own separate rules and regulations regarding ethical considerations, and they take care of that. They are very particular about the ethical side while publishing a paper. And third one is the COPE. COPE is the Committee on Publication Ethics, and they are committed to educating and supporting editors, publishers, and those involved in publication ethics. And finally, coming to one screenshot from the UGC. Here, we could see that the UGC CARE reference list of quality journals, UGC CARE list has been mentioned by UGC in 2019. And they are saying, it's a public notice. They're saying that in the interest of Indian academic publishing and the credibility of our research and knowledge production, the UGC wants to put forward the UGC CARE list for publishing authenticated papers in the UGC CARE listed journals. And hereby a public notice has been circulated by the UGC in 2019 regarding the UGC CARE list. So let us now see what does actually CARE list mean. What is care, or why should we care? Here, the second care within quotes has been stated sarcastically, like we need to care for the CARE journals. So what is CARE? CARE is the Consortium for Academic Research and Ethics. It's a consortium. It's a UGC initiative. UGC has set up CARE to identify, monitor, and maintain reference list of quality journals across disciplines. Irrespective of any disciplines, the academic authors in the field of higher education, they need to publish. That will be beneficial for their career advancement as well, to publish their papers, research papers in the CARE journal. And this CARE is there to identify, monitor, and maintain reference list of quality journals. Research articles published only in CARE reference list of quality journals should be considered for all academic purposes. So that's having a good weightage as well. Developed to promote academic and research integrity as well as publication ethics. So this CARE listed journals, they are CARE. They are, this consortium is taking care of academic integrity as mentioned by UGC. These are research journals. They are different research journals from all disciplines. They are indexed in Scopus or Web of Science. That is the Arts and Humanities Citation Index, Source Publication, Science Citation Index, Expanded Source Publication, Social Science Citation Index, etc. And if we want to find out the CARE listed journals, we could simply click on this link and we could find out that what are the CARE. There are actually a list of CARE listed journals, and if we click on this link, we could get that in this website. So from the UGC CARE booklet only, this UGC CARE universities, a screenshot has been taken from that booklet where UGC CARE universities has been mentioned. CARE university stands for that consortium. They have identified 4 universities in the 4 regions of India: the East, West, Northwest, South, and East. And these universities are taking care of these CARE journals region-wise. In the northern region, JNU or the Jawaharlal Nehru University is there. In the western region, the MS University of Baroda, they are authenticated to take care of the UGC CARE listed journals. In the south, the University of Hyderabad is authenticated, and in the eastern region, Tejpur University, Assam, they are identified. And one UGC cell is there. One UGC cell is developed for this journal analysis at Pune under the Center of Publication Ethics, Savitribai Phule Pune University, SPPU, to create and maintain the UGC CARE list under the supervision of UGC CARE Empowered Committee. So the consortium is well developed, and the different universities have been identified region-wise to take care of this UGC CARE listed journals and to authenticate the different journals and maintain the quality as well. Now, while selecting different kinds of journals, we need to know what are predatory journals and what are authenticated journals. Predatory journals publish articles without editorial review or quality control measures. So there are some journals that are not up to the mark. They publish articles without editorial review, whereas the serious scientific journals, they always undergo review process. In the predatory journals, publication cost is not transparent. They charge some publication cost, which is not transparent, but in case of serious journals or the authenticated journals, if there is any charge, that is absolutely transparent. And predatory journals provide misleading information about indicators, especially impact factors, where in the authenticated journals or CARE listed journals, the impact factor is very clearly shown. choosing the right journal for publication. There are certain methodologies, there are certain processes, there are certain strategies rather to find out the right journal for publication. One need to cross-check the inclusion of the index journal in the mentioned databases. If we search the databases, we could easily find out whether this journal is indexed or not. For an open access journal, the inclusion in Directory of Open Access Journals, DOAJ, can be checked at the DOAJ website. That's the abbreviated form. Directory of Open Access Journals, it could be searched out. And journal's claim of the journal citation report impact factor can be verified by its international standard serial number in the JCR master list. So students who are tech savvy, it's not at all problematic for them to find out this authenticated journals in the website, following all these processes. And to check trustworthy journals is to self-assess the journal through websites like thinkchecksubmit.org. So this is also a very authenticated site, very good site, where you could easily find out whether the journals are authenticated or not. And finally, the references are there. And with this, I'm approaching the end of the discussion, and I would be extremely happy if students or participants, they put forward their queries and unhesitatingly ask me about what they want to know. And finally, thanking my heartfelt thanks to all the organizers, extending my heartfelt thanks to all the organizers. I'm ending my discussion here. Thank you so much for your patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. We have benefited from this talk, and it's been affirmed by all of the participants all the way through your talk. And maybe you could, yes,
Yeah, the PPT, yes.
Yeah, maybe you could take down you could take down the PowerPoint, and somebody could highlight me as well, and we can have a little dialogue here. We have a lot of questions. So actually, just after we asked them last time, they started coming in. So let's begin. And we have some real time for these questions too. So, okay, they range in scope, these questions. So let us, I think that, okay, a question about why does an article approved by a peer reviewer sometimes get turned down by a member of an editorial board?
Why after editorial, after review process, why an article gets turned down?
Yeah, if it's even approved by peer reviewers, it can still be turned down for publication. Why would this happen?
Okay, after the review process, why it gets turned down?
No, the question is.
Could I see that in the chat box? Or
the question is.
Question answer. Yeah.
No, but some of these questions are from another day as well. So some of them were from yesterday and some of them are from today. The question is, articles are submitted to peer review, and after being acceptable according to peer review, why might they be refused for publication?
Okay, after the full review process, this is not an usual practice to reject a paper, but still there might be some other reasons, because different issues are related with publication. After peer review process, one option might be that the journal has already met the expected number of publications for that issue, and that particular paper will be deferred to the next issue. That could happen. Otherwise, if the reviewers have given a green signal for that paper after undergoing a good review process by first reviewer, second reviewer, in many cases, there are also a third reviewer also. This usually never happens that that article is not published in that particular journal. That may be deferred in some cases.
Yeah, thank you. Somebody says they have a question regarding gift authorship. They say, I have my own paper during in the PhD process where gift authorship
Here, my
is given.
internet, I think, is a little bit unstable. Sometimes it gets.
You're not hearing me?
I'm hearing you, but in between, it's getting disconnected for a little bit. Anyway, yeah, please continue.
Okay.
I'm getting now. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'll try to join through my phone. But let me ask this question. Gift authorship is given by my supervisor. What should I do about this?
That's the usual practice. That's actually the usual practice, and it happens like that. The research scholars who are under the supervision of their supervisor, mostly it happens that taking guidance from their supervisor, they frame one paper, frame one article. So therefore, it's gets ethical to include the name of the supervisor there, as because they help in one way or the other for framing that particular article.
Okay, thank you. What is the difference between a thesis and a dissertation?
What is the difference between
thesis and dissertation?
Yeah. The first difference is the volume. PhD thesis is not less than 200 printed pages. There might be some exceptions, and a dissertation is a maximum. It could be 40 to 50, might be 60 printed pages. Looking into the duration of the course, because dissertation is actually the part of the master's program, whereas by PhD one gets a full degree. So there is difference in the research work as well. For a PhD, a researcher has to work much harder for a longer period of time, and the research work should be in depth. Otherwise, his PhD thesis will not be accepted. Rather, on the contrary, the dissertation work is not that robust, as because that's a part of the master's program. And the main purpose of dissertation is to make the students acquainted with the process of research work, actually. And they start with their research work with the dissertation, and that's not that robust as in case of the PhD work. These are the basic differences between dissertation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Going to plagiarism. If I change the words, do I still have to cite the source? And if I cite the source,
again disconnected.
Do you hear me?
Now it's okay. If I change the word.
Okay, it's talking about plagiarism. And it's, if I change the words, do I still have to cite the source? And if I cite the source, can I still be accused of plagiarism?
Okay. If you are referring someone, if you are taking idea from any paper or any research work, it's not important that you are changing the particular word. That means you are replacing the word with some other words searching from Google. It's not actually that. It means that you are taking the idea from that particular paper or from that particular research work, and that should be referenced. That should be referenced. Otherwise, that will fall under. I think plagiarism report might not show that, but that is unethical. That is unethical. You are taking someone's ideas and you're not citing it. You're not referencing it. That is unethical. May not be if you check it under any plagiarism site. It may not come. in that way. But that's unethical, absolutely. It's
Thank
better if you're a student, it's my suggestion that it's better you take someone's idea, cite it, reference it, and then keeping in tune with that idea, you put forward your own idea. I think that will make your paper much good.
Thank you. Well, so we're talking about now the consequences of plagiarism. Somebody says legal punishment is not very strong. There are institutional consequences, as you've said, but the person says that the punishment is not that strong because of unethical practice. What do you think about this? And do you think imprisonment should be a tool to deal with this?
This is absolutely the issue of laws. I think I'm not the proper person to decide on imprisonment and the kind of actions legal be taken on the authors who plagiarize some others' research works. Anyway, these guidelines have been set by UGC, and that's the national body, statutory body. They have, after looking into all the perspectives, they have taken this decision. They have made these regulations, and they have made all the levels, that 3 levels they have mentioned. And unethical practices, they have found it better that unethical practices should be punished this way. It's not,
okay. Thank you.
I cannot simply cite my opinion whether one author could be imprisoned or not. That's a matter of law.
Thank you very much. Well, this is still with the issue of paraphrasing. You know, it means using somebody's idea, but putting it in your own words.
Yeah.
What is the best way? So when is it a good idea to paraphrase? And what is the best way to write a good article or paper?
Okay, how one should paraphrase? Yeah, paraphrasing is, there's nothing unethical about paraphrasing any idea. One's idea could be taken and that could be paraphrased. Actually, taking idea and paraphrasing are 2 different things. Paraphrasing is you are paraphrasing one article or one paper or 1 page kind of thing. You are paraphrasing it, and taking idea is a different thing that could be used in your own research work. If you want to base your research on some idea, say for instance, I could say like if I want to make one paper on inclusion and equity, and there I want to take the idea of Amartya Sen's capability approach. So that means I'm taking his idea, I'm basing my research on his idea, and that I'm actually in my paper, what I intend to show that on the basis of that theory, that is Amartya Sen's capability approach, how inclusion and equity could be practiced in the higher education institutions. That means I am taking the basic idea, basic theory from Amartya Sen's capability approach, but I'm citing it in a different way, and I'm implementing the practical side of that theory in the regular practices. So that's the kind of idea or theory we could always take help of while making any research paper, and we could put forward our own ideas on that.
Let's go to this question. Well, how many references are good enough to write a valuable article?
There is no such strict rule whether you need to reference 15, you need to put 15 references for 10 pages of writing. It depends on the paper. It depends on your research work as well. If that's a theoretical paper, you might not cite so many references. Based on one single theory, you could frame your own academic paper. But if that's a research work, you need to cite all the related references, related research work. So there is no such strict rule regarding the number of references, but in my opinion, in a conceptual paper, the number of references could be less. It could be more also, but it could be less. But in a research paper, number of references are always high.
Thank you. A question, can I publish conference papers in a journal?
Conference papers are usually conference papers. What I further want to ask him, what do he actually mean by conference papers? All the articles that are submitted in the conference, or one single paper? If he mean to say that all the articles that are submitted in a conference, that could come out as a conference proceeding, or they could collaborate with any journal, any editor of a journal, and that could be further revised and come out as separate issues or special issue. That could be done. That could be done.
Okay. Going back to the supervisor's role, if a supervisor does not help in writing an article, is it compulsory to mention her name as an author?
It is not. It is never compulsory to mention the supervisor's name. It is never compulsory.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, going to conflict of interest. The question reads, is conflict of interest compulsory all the time? I take that as meaning, is it important to recognize a conflict of interest all the time?
I was not able to listen to you properly. In between, some disconnection was there. Conflict of interest.
The question says, is it compulsory all the time?
To mention the conflict of interest?
I think so.
It's better. It's better to mention the conflict of interest. That will actually support your paper, and that will be much more beneficial for your publication also. Because at a glance, the reviewers will get your declaration, and there will be no questions regarding that. When the review comments will come to you, the reviewers will skip that one, as because you have already declared your conflict of interest in the paper while submitting it.
Okay. Going back to a peer-reviewed journal, somebody's still a little confused about it and says it's a little complicated. Can you please simplify or explain what a peer-reviewed journal is?
Okay, so peer-reviewed journal is actually the journal that one submit in a particular journal for publication that undergoes a review process by different academicians. And in most of the cases, the names are not disclosed. Means the names of the authors are not disclosed. In that cases, that are called the blind review. And reviewers go through for the betterment of that particular paper, particular manuscript, and they review it. Means it's like that. If you
okay,
the editor sends that paper to 2 or 3 reviewers, and those reviewers are designated, means they are holding good positions in the academic field. Only that kind of persons are chosen for the review process, and the names of the authors are not these are not disclosed, and they undergo a review process for the betterment of that particular journal. And if there are any kind of issues, conflicting issues, or kind of some kind of problems might be there, referencing is not good, or you have said something which is not justified, kind of things, all these kind of things are taken care by the reviewers, and that are again sent to you with the reviewer's comment. You need to clarify them, you need to revise those papers, you need to modify those papers. This happens 2 to 3 times, and finally it takes a good shape and it gets ready for publication. This is the review process. And if your article is it's of very below quality, then obviously through review process, it could be rejected also in that case.
Thank you very much. Well, on the same issue of journals, somebody's talking about fake journals.
Yes.
And says many research scholars and faculty members publish papers in fake journals.
Yes, yes.
This journal available for the website, and also mentioned the UGC care list. Why doesn't the UGC authority action fake journal websites? And how, maybe more important for us, how do we identify a good journal or a fake journal?
In my last slide, I have mentioned how will you find a good journal or authenticated journal. And again, this list of fake journals and authenticated journals, the list is there itself in the UGC website. List is there. If you go through that website, you could get it. And side by side, the two pictures are there. The picture of the original journal and the picture of the fake journal. Those are there side by side. And yes, nowadays scholars are really facing this problem. And I know many who have already published in the fake journals, and now they're getting that the journal is not authenticated. This happens. Therefore, it is very important first to identify the journal and also looking into the topic which you have selected and choosing the perfect journal according to the topic also. So it's very important to find out the original journal, and that could help by going through the website, authenticated website. That means if you are looking for UGC listed journals, you could visit the UGC website. There you could get it. There it's very nicely mentioned that these are original journals and these are the fake versions of that and cloned versions of that, and that would be identified easily.
Okay, helpful. Could you say a little more about lack of authorization and how to prevent this error?
Lack of authorization. Would he be able to make his idea more clear? What is lack of authorization? I'm not getting.
So we'll put it to the questioner. If you could explain your question a little more. Another question, could you elaborate on meta-analysis just a little more?
Yeah, meta-analysis is it's your specific reflection on that paper. You are analyzing that paper with a critical thinking. That is meta-analysis. It is a little bit more in-depth commentary on that particular paper. That is meta-analysis. Okay.
There's one question, a couple of questions about journals which have fees and journals which do not have fees. And this came up a couple days ago. But what do you think about that? Why are some of them, costing money and either to publish or to read? And why are some free? And what do you think one is better, or what is the value of each one potentially?
This is actually decided by the organization itself, whether they could charge money or not. But one thing could be said that if someone charges money, if some journal charges money, that simply doesn't mean that they are charging money because they are fake. That doesn't mean that. We need to check, but it is actually depending on the decision of the organization whether they will charge anything or not. But in most cases, this is the usual practice, I could say. In general, this happens that the UGC care listed journals, they don't charge money. And maybe some exceptions also. I cannot simply make a statement for all the UGC care listed journals. But anyway, it depends on the organizations who are running that particular journal.
Okay, thank you. Could you just review one more time the difference between references and bibliography?
Okay. References is from where you are directly quoting something. You are directly taking some ideas, you are directly taking quotations, you are directly mentioning from that particular, might be books, might be journals, might be any kind of academic writing. You are directly quoting that in your paper, in your article. And bibliography is the kind of books or the sources, rather the sources, secondary sources, that serves as a background for your paper writing. Okay, might be, say for instance, you are writing a paper on, say for instance, you are writing a paper on motivation. For that you have went through many books of educational psychology. Okay, but only a very little portion, or might be one chapter, is there on motivation in all those educational psychology books. So therefore, you don't need to quote anything from all those books for writing your motivation, your paper related with motivation. But anyway, that has served as a background. That is the foundation that has made you resourceful for writing this paper. Therefore, you could mention those books on educational psychology as your bibliography, in your bibliography portion. And you might be citing some references from some journals or some academic writings related with motivation, or where motivation, the variable, is present. So that could come under the reference section.
Thank you. Could you clarify impact factor once again?
Impact factor is, it is the quality indicator. It is the quality indicator. It's how it is impacted on the researchers worldwide. This is the actual idea, how it is impacted, and it keeps on changing. The impact factor, the quality of a journal keeps on changing, but obviously the high quality journals only have the impact factors, that depends on the kind of publications they are making and the kind of authors are contributing on those journals. It depends on that. So that's a
Okay.
quality indicator. Impact factor is, primarily that's an impact, that's a quality indicator. And we should search, if we need to publish in a good journal, we should search through impact factor. That should be one criteria for searching a good journal.
Okay. There are so many good questions, and we're not going to be able to address all of them. We're going to go as long as we can, but thank you for all of the good questions. And we're going to put more of them to our wonderful speaker. And we see that she's addressing us with such knowledge. And so many people are saying how really valuable this is. Just a little warning, I'm going to just in about 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to give the floor to Dr. Nandikara and Dr. Pushpanadam just for a word. We don't have as much time, we're running out of time, but I'd like you each to take a look at the questions and bearing in mind what we've been discussing today and the whole conference, the whole course, think about what you'd like to share and fill in, on this issue of publication. So I give you 5 or 10 minutes to think about it, look at the questions as I continue to engage Dr. Chakraborty. Okay. Well, there's one question here about what about if you publish an article in a journal that has been earlier care listed and then later on removed, or the UGC removed it from the care list? Yeah. What do you,
That's a very important question. I think I'm disconnected. Now it's okay. My internet connection here is unstable. It's again coming again and again on my laptop screen. Anyway, yes, that's a very important question. That when my article was published in that particular UGC care listed journal, that was included in the care list, and now this one is not included in the care list. So you don't need to care about that, as because when you will show this publications of yours, they will identify the date of your publication, that when this was published and at that time that particular journal was included in the care list or not. So when you have published your article in that particular journal, at that time it was under the care list. That means you have published in a care listed journal only, and afterwards it have been removed might be for many reasons, but you don't need to be scared about that. Your journal is published in a care listed journal only.
Okay. That's a relief, huh? That's a relief for people. Okay. So there's a question about review papers. How do we write a good review paper? And what do we need to take into consideration when writing a review paper? And how does it differ from a research paper in terms of publication?
Okay. The main difference between review paper and a research paper is the format. So in a research paper, the format is like literature review, hypothesis, objectives, methodology, and the analysis, interpretations kind of things. And in review papers, this format is not necessary. And in most cases, this hypothesis, we don't need to form any hypothesis in a review paper. In a review paper, we need to consider 5 or more than 5, maybe 3 also, papers on the same kind of topic. And then we need to review means what is the similarities, what is the dissimilarities in these reviews on a particular topic. Say, for instance, if I need to review some papers on, again on, say, child care education. So within a period of time, say from 2015 to 2020, I am taking 5 papers, 5 published papers on this child care education. And I need to review what these papers are actually saying on child care education, and I'm analyzing their findings only, and that will come under the review paper. Whereas a research paper, I need to find out the raw data, and I need to analyze it, interpret it, inference, find out something, and there should be some findings in the research paper. That's a different way of writing. The 2 ways are totally different, writing a review paper and writing a research paper, and methodology will be totally different, and the format will also be totally different.
Okay, thank you. More to learn about that, but this gives us a good introduction, or a good entree into exploring further. Okay, here's a question back to plagiarism. What percentage of plagiarism is allowed for a review paper or in a thesis?
Plagiarism is accepted only up to 10%, and it is fixed for all kinds of papers. Maybe it a review paper or research paper, doesn't matter. Up to 10% is called the originality report, that's called. And up to 10% is acceptable by everyone. But if you exceed 10%, that might not be accepted. And some journals, they might allow 15, might be 17% up to that, but not more than that. And that is fixed for all kinds of research papers, book chapters, everything, book reviews, everything.
Okay. A question about conference proceedings. Why do conference proceedings not have a cite score, and its weightage is less compared to journals?
This is also, again, a very important question, as because this articles, those are submitted in the conference for presentation. They are simply published in the conference proceedings without undergoing any review process. And if they undergo a review process, a strict review process, and they come in the name of an edited book, or might they come as a special issue in a journal, they will be authenticated, and there will be scoring for that also. But simply publishing the papers that have been submitted in the conference and publishing them without any review, that might not score anything.
Okay. Let's see. I think I'm going to, we're running out of time. And you know, one participant said, can we extend this one more day? So that is the best feedback we've gotten. You know, this is a 4-day class.
For me.
Oh, you know, that's the best feedback ever, you know? And so we see that people are really benefiting from this discussion, and we're sort of sorry that it's coming to an end. I'm gonna ask Father Jose to give me 2 minutes, Dr. Pushpanathan, 2 minutes, and then I'll come back to you, Dr. Chakraborty, for a final word. And also we note that for the rest of the course today, all of our speakers can respond to these questions in the Q&A. You know, you can go to the open questions and type a response, and you can even go to the answered questions and type a further response, you know, and have a dialogue. So I also invite all of our teachers, you know, to continue to engage some of the questions that we've not answered fully or not been able to get to. So Dr. Nandikara, let's highlight Dr. Nandikara and Dr. Pushpanathan, as well as Dr. Chakraborty. And do you have anything you'd like to fill in, you know, just from your experience with publication?
First, hearty congratulations to Dr. Chakraborty. It was excellent, very informative, and I would prefer to give 1 more minute to Chakraborty. To researchers, my advice is read the journals before you start writing. Your research should include the journals in which you intend to publish. Most of the researchers, they have a finished product and they go around, will you buy it, will you publish it, will you publish it? Read the journals. Secondly, pay attention to the call for papers. Many journals have a topic, an issue, so please call for the papers. And it's a must, read the author guidelines. When you do that, call for papers so that you are topic specific, and also you realize the nature of the journal. Each journal has its own history, its own looking. And then author guidelines, there is greater chance for your paper to get published. And publication, it's not only for you, that's your contribution to the knowledge societies. Because we are all borrowing from the knowledge societies, we are consuming, and we need to give back. It is our moral duty. Let's increase the quality and the quantity of the knowledge societies. Once again, thank you and congratulations to Dr. Chakraborty. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nandikara. And I'm going to come to Dr. Pushpanathan, and actually I see Dr. Chudari on the floor. And so afterward, if you'd like to give a word about your experience with publication, I'll give you a minute. Okay, Dr. Pushpanathan, please. Do you have a word for us?
Good evening to all of you. And it was a wonderful session talking about how publications are so important in our academic life. And publication is not for the publication's sake, but publication is for the contribution to the domain of knowledge that we are actually engaged in. Therefore, we tried our best to give the essentials of ethics, the publications, scientific knowledge, and also the organizational, the rules and regulations, which controls and which reminds our accountability in this academia. Therefore, what I expect from all the participants to make use of this information that we try to share. We know that everything cannot be shared and discussed within a stipulated time. But what we wish is we try to ignite your minds, we try to inspire your minds. Therefore, the rest is your homework. Whatever we have given, we could give, and the rest we expect you to explore from your side. And this is what the extension of the learning from this workshop. So I wish everyone to be the part of this publication movement, not in terms of increasing the numbers alone, but the qualitative improvement of the work that we do. Therefore, each one of us become the experts in the particular domain. This is what is expected. This is what is actually desired in academics. So since it is the last day of this 4-day program, I take this opportunity to thank Globethics for the Jose Nandikara and Dr. Darling Selvi and Ms. Rajula, and of course, the Master of Ceremony is sitting from Switzerland, Dr. Kristen Hossel, for giving this wonderful platform for me and my team. So on behalf of the entire the team, I thank the Globethics. And on this platform, that I also thank all my team members, the kind of work they put into, and making this intellectual discussion more interesting and meaningful. So thank you very much to all the team members, Dr. Amit Chowdhury, Dr. Jason Maman, and Dr. Shnaoli Chakravarti. And thank you for the Jose for being there and giving your knowledge and wisdom to the entire participants. So I remember a statement, coming together is a beginning. We came together from various places. If you see my resource people, Amit is from Northeast, the Shnaoli is from the eastern part of India, from Calcutta, and I'm representing the western part, and Jason Maman representing the southern part of India. So the whole India is covered, and we have come, and coming together is a beginning. And keeping together is progress. And working together is success. I think that success has to be the outcome of these 4-day deliberations that we did it here. And thanks to you once again. Thank you to all the participants for your patient listening and active participation. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Just a note to participants, we're kind of beginning to wrap up the course, but we have another, 45 minutes, or so. And at the end of that time, the feedback link will be shared. And actually, in just a moment, I'm going to present, and it's going to be practical. So today is practical. We're talking about how you can benefit from some of the globethics.net resources and platforms. So my goal is going to be to connect this to your real life, your real research. Okay, just as we wrap up this session, a word from Dr. Chudari, if you'd like, and then we'll end with Dr. Chakraborty. Dr. Chudari.
Thank you and good evening, Christine. And it was a wonderful session from Dr. Chakraborty. Congratulations to her. I'd like to just narrate a line from Gita, which says, Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phalesu kadachana. It means without expecting the fruits, you just carry working on. And I've been watching, and it gives me pain in watching the chat box where there are repeated queries about the feedback form. When the organizers had taken pain to organize such a lovely session for 4 days, still, maybe many of the participants either did not listen to or actively participate, And that's a reality in today's context, thanks to COVID, thanks to the virtual environment that we are in. But then it's also heartening at the same time to see many participants actively participating in the show. And that's the success. Thank you very much. Thank you for giving me the platform to share. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. So we have had a really wonderful session with Dr. Chakraborty, who's really grounded a lot of these concepts in practice for us. And so please, what final words would you like to share? Any information or any final comments you'd like to share?
Thank you so much for inviting me again. And I'm extremely honored and privileged to get this platform and speak on this topic, and glad to get that glad to see the question answer session is over flooding with questions. But one thing I have noted that the questions are, in some cases, they are overlapping questions. And once the question is answered and again, students are asking the same questions, I think more or less all the areas have been covered according to their queries. And I'm hopeful that the participants here, the students and the research scholars, they will take the publication process very seriously, as because the master students, they are still in the higher education area, and the PhD scholars, they have now stepped forward. They're stepping forward in the direction of higher education, and they need to publish. And the most relevant part of this 4 days session is the ethical understanding of publication, and in keeping in tune with Father Jose Nandikara's words, that one should not get hurried with their publication. Nowadays, the accessibility of internet has make people always be in a hurry, and make them habituated with getting very quick results, which in reality is next to impossible to reach. Because in the academic field, in the intellectual work, if you really want to do anything original, it will take time. And not only time, it requires a lot of concentration and patience as well. So the participants who have already stepped forward in the direction of higher education, in the premises of higher education, they should rather develop interest in reading, develop interest in originalities, rather than expect quicker and quicker actions from the other side. So it's important to be patient, and in its due course, the result is obvious to come. And finally, thanking you, and I'm really honored that so many participants have asked me so many questions. It definitely means that they have listened to the session, which is really day by day, this quest for knowledge is declining in this online platforms day by day, which I'm very glad to get back in this session. Hope you have a very good academic life onwards. In your future days, you will be really much more be inclined to original publications, and you will really be able to differentiate between the fake and the original. And that's the, I think that's the lesson that we could learn from this session. A very good luck to all the participants. And finally, my thanks. And I would like to extend my gratitude to all my senior academicians who are present on board. And thank you so much, Christian. Thank you.
Thank you very much for all of the care you've taken with your presentation and with your engagement with us. we all give you a virtual round of applause with a lot of thanks. One of the participants says, shall I consider working on a long time research project or not? Well, you've gotten people thinking, this is a question only you can answer, participant. But if you wish to do so, you've been inspired with both the vision for what your knowledge and research can contribute and what a vision for going about it ethically, so that its full contribution is there and so that you're a role model for other people around you, in the process. And so I with gratitude, I thank Dr. Chakraborty and I give the floor to Rajula.
Thank you, Christine, for beautifully moderating today's event along with Dr. Darling Selvi. And thank you all the speakers. My special thanks to Dr. Shnaoli. The floor looked very rich, flowing a lot of knowledge from you and received by the participants. And thank you for choosing to be with us. And we are moving to the next phase of the event of today, the last day. And we are having Ms. Christine Housel with us. And it is always my pleasure to introduce Ms. Christine Housel, my colleague who is working from Geneva, Switzerland. And she's currently the Director for Strategic Partnership and Donor Relations of Globethics.net, Geneva, Switzerland. And Christine Housel is an experienced educator and executive passionate about building partnerships and spaces for communication and formation that create more loving ethical communities. She has a BA honors in philosophy from Wheaton College and a master's in divinity from Yale University Divinity School. Her work has been focused on supporting the development of young people through direct teaching and training, as well as project and NGO management with universities, churches, and NGOs. In her recent role as General Secretary of the World Student Christian Federation, Ms. Christine Housel successfully advocated for a greater inclusion of youth in the ecumenical community and in the United Nations. Ms. Housel's expertise lies in strategic partner relationships in education and NGO management. She brings with her lifelong commitment to discovering the richness that intercultural, intergenerational, ecumenical, and interfaith relationship bring. She has been a network member of Globethics.net from its inception and joined Globethics.net team in October 2019 to lead the work in donor relation and strategic partnership. May I now call upon Ms. Christine Housel to put across her views on ethical foundations of global partnership. Over to you, Ms. Christine.
Thank you so much, Rajula, and hello again to everybody. We're at the end of a rich and long process, and my goal, as I said before, is to continue to share practically something about the resources and platform that Globethics offers and that you can engage. And I want to show you how you can engage in a little more depth. And I know many of you heard from my colleague Ignace Haas yesterday. He spoke as the Director of Publications, he spoke about that in a bit more depth. I'll also refer to it, but I'm going to give you a comprehensive view of what Globethics.net is, what we do, and what we wish to do together. Because primarily, we're a platform, we're a network working together for this common vision that we share, to embed ethics in all aspects of higher education for life and the common good. So as I've mentioned before, we are focused strategically on higher education institutions and their teachers. So that's us in the room today.
You represent your institutions either as a teacher or an administrator or a leader of some kind. And of course, we work with students, especially graduate students. And of course, we work with professionals because we are a platform that engages professionals in continuing education and also in knowledge creation that benefits the professions. But it's through the work of the teachers and the institutions that we reach the students and the professionals. So that's where our focus is. And we've been talking all about why ethics matters. And I think we're all agreed. And we've been talking about how, we've been inspired ourselves by our speakers and our teachers who are helping us to, to really, in the midst of the pressure that we face, in the midst of our busyness, to somehow really put at the center of our study, of our research, of our teaching, integrity, responsibility, values, good practice, so that we bring these things out into the world with the knowledge we create, with the students we motivate, with the ideas we bring into the world. The way we do it really matters. And so this is what we're going for. And just to say that it's not easy. It's not always easy. Sometimes it's easy because we're motivated, and it's exciting, but sometimes it becomes difficult when demands or values clash. And so that's why we come together. As Dr. Pushpanathan just said, we come together because we need each other. We need to both learn from each other and kind of motivate each other in community. And if you remember on the first day, we spoke a lot about how important it is to do research in community. We study in community. And insofar as we have more online community now, it's important to humanize this space and to develop that community in new ways, as well as we hope engaging back to more in-person stuff. I'm not going to go into the topic of partnership too much. I mentioned on the first day that as far as we are all guided by the framework of the Sustainable Development Goals for the work we do for sustainable future for our planet, for our institutions, and for ourselves. We've recognized as a global community that partnering together for the goals is very important. And when we think about this in the academic world, it can seem abstract because maybe the SDGs are talking about, public-private partnerships and things that feel far from what we're doing, but actually we're part of it. The educational institutions are part of this partnership. And I also would like to make the point that I'm constantly learning anew how much things are mirrored in the educational experience to what we later do, in our professions. And so when we model and learn how to partner in a way that is truly not seeking to shove people off of the table, but to bring people to the table and to work together ethically, that it is really possible to work in a way where winning is all around. And so even if it's in a research project, we've talked about how to do it ethically. We want to attribute things to the people who do contribute. Yes, we need to put our name out there and we need to be strategic about it. But at the same time, we can give credit where credit is due. And that only reflects better on us. And as we learn to work together, it's actually, it's something in itself that is a value that the world so desperately needs. And so this is really something, as we cultivate this in our own research,
amongst our students, it's a contribution to our sustainable future. Our acronym around ethics, you might find useful as a teaching tool and for further reflection, because it really gets at core concepts at the heart of this whole enterprise. And they've been emphasized in various ways in the discussion we've had. We talk about we've been empowered to be better researchers, and to do it for transformation, to do it in a way that is positive and makes a contribution. And we want to look at things holistically, and we need to do it ever more so these days. And we want to be people of integrity. When Dr. Pushpanathan said, what do you want to be known as a researcher, as a teacher? Everybody said, I want to be known as a person that's reliable and trustworthy, a person of integrity, a person who's inspiring of others, et cetera, and so we want to facilitate competence, and we work to sustainability. So, and a little exposure to globethics.net. We have developed resources that we are putting out there, for your use. And one point I will make is that the resources we've developed have been developed themselves on the platform, in the community, and through partnerships. So we have some resources to offer, which have been developed in our global community. And there's the opportunity to continue to build those resources on our platform and to engage you in the process. And I'm just going to go through them and try to make the point about where you can engage. So the first is our e-library. And this is an open access online library focused on ethics, applied ethics. And it goes a little beyond. It goes to philosophy, it goes to religion and ecumenism, and it goes to many different topics and their dimension of ethics. So, regarding the water and the environment and leadership and the online world, cyber ethics, and the business world, business ethics, and sustainable development, and all of these kinds of things. It also deals explicitly with ethics in education. So there are collections around that. And this library is curated to an extent. So we partner with institutions to put some of their resources on there. We put all of our own publications on there. And in addition, you can put your publications into this library. And so as long as it doesn't have the limit of being published somewhere else and where it is not allowed to be put on an open access platform, if it has the permission, to be on an open access platform, you can upload your own things, your own articles and so on into our library and create a little abstract for it. And it's a way to get referenced. If you put keywords in there and people are doing searches in our library, you can actually contribute to this library. Also, as an institution, if you'd like to put some of your conference proceedings or your publications into our library, or the PhD theses of some of your students, for example, if you would like to put it into our library, we can organize it with our librarian. So this is a resource that's free of charge for you today. And most of the library you can access just by going to the library. You can go to it, you can read, and you can download. So you can take the books that we've published and download them and have them in your computer. There are some things that require registration to access. And so you're invited, right now today, to go to globethics.net /register, and maybe Rajula can put that in the chat, and register free of charge. This will give you complete access to the library and to our information newsletter, which I'll mention again. But this will give you more and regular updates about what's going on at Globethics that might be of interest to you and ideas for participation. So as you learned from Ignace, we also have a publication house. And so as Dr. Chakraborty said, conference proceedings are important, because we're not holding conferences. We're not holding this course. We are not holding conferences for nothing. We're like with research and of various kinds, we're trying to gather ourselves to learn and to progress the conversation. And so we wanted to publish our own conferences and those of others. And we wanted to bring together scholars in our network to publish on cutting edge topics. And we wanted to publish the work of young researchers and give them a chance early in their career. So we wanted to make it more affordable and more accessible. We wanted to make it attractive to the whole range, new researchers and experts in their fields. And the benefit of publishing with us is a lower price, and our commitment to work with you to make it happen. And also that your work then goes into our open access library and has an international audience. And so if you're interested in talking to us about publishing with us, Rajula and I are here to talk to you, and we can direct you to Ignace, our colleague. And in addition, I want to mention that we're launching a journal. And so this is a big development, on our side, and this will be soon. We're in the kind of final planning stages, and so into the future, into the near future, you will have this as another platform for publishing, and we will somehow prioritize the people in our network. And I will tell you how to join our network in a moment. But you can join by registering, first of all. That's a simple joining as just a network member. And then you can more formally join us. But we will remain open, to colleagues around the world as well. So this is just an example of some of the books we've published on education ethics in particular. And as mentioned, we've published on different focused topics, that may be your specialty. So you should go and search our library and search our webpage and see what we've published. They're there for you to use, So people have published these things and with us in order to be useful. We are really happy and proud to be building up our online academy. And from the areas of interest that we've given focus to with our experts and with the inputs from our partners all around the world, we have developed some online courses. And these are, again, they're developed by people, wonderful experts and institutions from our network around the world. They're taught by people from around the world, and those who join them are professionals and teachers and administrators and students who come from around the world. And so it's online learning, and there's also the opportunity to meet on Zoom and dialogue with the professors and the other students, which is a real unique thing. It's one of the ways in which we're using our platform for engagement. And the feedback from the teachers and the students is that this is just a highlight. And as much learning happens from listening to each other as it does from the material itself. And so I'm going to show you which courses are coming up, and you can join as an individual.
And also as an institution, if you're interested in bringing a group of your teachers to do the ethics in higher education for teaching professionals as part of their continuing education or something like that, Rajula and I are here to talk to you about bringing in a group, bringing in a cohort, and negotiating a realistic fee, for you to make it possible. And I also mentioned, as many of you are teachers, that we're building up our pool of experts and our network of teachers working with us. And so by engaging us and making yourself known to us, it could be possible that we engage you as a teacher in one of these courses or a future course. And one more point is that we continue to build up our course offerings. And so if this is also a possibility of bringing your expertise or an idea or a partnership from your institution to actually a collaboration in creating courses and putting them on our platform. There's one institution in Colombia, which has Itin Index, which has an ethics center, and they've developed a course on embedding ethics in all the different fields in higher education, practically working with syllabi. And that course is now being put on the globethics.net platform. So it's an example that this is really happening. And it's going to be in Spanish in the beginning, but we hope to get it translated because it's an excellent course giving practical tools for this common mission we have. I want to take a moment and just expose you to the courses coming up this semester. In March and April, the start dates are coming up. And in fact, they're 8 to 10 week courses. And we have one coming up on ethics in higher education for teaching professionals. We have one on responsible leadership, which is a really wonderful course, and some content has recently been added to it. This just cuts across every discipline, and it's an excellent course. We have one on social responsibility and sustainable development, if that's your area of interest. And we have a course on interreligious cooperation for peace focused on ethical studies. It's actually a 3-part course that you can take over 3 semesters, but it's also very possible just to take one of the segments. And so you can go in and register on our website as an individual, but you may wish to speak with us about bringing a group or something and having a cost reduction as well. And also to mention that there is a freemium track, which means you can take the course for free, and you can also take it. You can also take it for certification, and that means you'll end up with a globethics.net certificate. And Globethics has been recently accredited by a European body, and so there's accreditation that comes with our courses. I think that our experience is showing that more students stick with the course all the way through when they take it for the certification track, because your work is evaluated by the professor and you have more motivation to work for that certificate. On February 22nd, which is next Tuesday, there's going to be an information session about these upcoming courses. And it's going to be fun. It'll just be an hour and it's going to be fun. We have gathered from people around the world in our network images of trees from their context and reflections on how that tree relates to the work of ethics in higher education. And we also have someone talking about how ethics can contribute to sort of peace building in the world. In addition, we have some of the instructors and teachers for the courses who are going to just give an introduction about them. And so to register for this information session, it's free of charge, and you can just go to our website. Maybe Rajula, you could put that in the chat.
And so we really
All
warmly
good.
invite you. There's no commitment, you know, by attending. It's just a little more exposure to what we're offering. And on the other hand, if you'd like to talk about it more with Rajula or myself, we're here to do that. I mention as well that we really enjoy organizing short courses such as this. This is the first one we've done in India, and it's been such a success. I think it's going to pioneer some future efforts in, you know, as we move on. And we enjoy organizing conferences. We have an international conference every year. This year, we're going to organize 3 region-led conferences that are also themselves international, and it's going to be connected to a publication project. And so Father Joe's mentioned knowledge societies. It's going to be about knowledge society, ethical society, and sustainable society. And there will be 3 conferences with speakers and interaction. And there will be 3 publications around these topics. And so this is an interesting opportunity for you, because there will be a call for papers for each of these 3 publications and the conference connected to it. So you could become a speaker, a paper giver, and an author, you know, in this process. In addition, so by registering with us, you'll be getting this information. And also, if you're in Rajula's contact base, she'll be sending more information to you. We also have, you know, shorter and sweeter continuing education opportunities like our Blue Table webinars organized by the Academy. And this year, they're focused on the question of what does it mean to be human? And human living in relationship with other species and the world and each other. And so in March, April, and May, there's a 1 or 1.5 hour webinar, which you can simply register for free of charge as a way to just keep, you know, yourself engaged with this ethical conversation and with some new ideas. And so these are the dates and the times, and this will be available on our website, on our social media, in our newsletter, and in mailings that Rajula will send. I'm coming to the end. We also offer capacity building and training for groups of people and institutions who want to go deeper into the work of assessing how people are doing in their own ethics kind of ethics activity in their university community. And this is something I won't elaborate now, but I just mention it. And if you're interested, we can follow up, and more news of this will be coming to our institutional partners. And so I just end by again emphasizing that, you know, through our network and on our platform, our goal is to do just what Dr. Pushpanathan said. It's to explore together, learn together, challenge each other, encourage each other, inspire each other, create opportunities to develop professionally, and to, you know, to make yourself known, and to do it for all the right reasons, which is to contribute to knowledge, to contribute to the deepening of ethical thinking in all of our disciplines and in the way we function as teachers, researchers, and institutions. We're all around the world. We have Rajula leading the work in India, and Father Joe's as the director of our advisory board. And we invite you to join us. We have lots of organizations who are supporting our vision, including funding organizations. We also have status as an NGO who has the right to give voice at the United Nations. So we can bring our concerns about ethics in higher education to these bodies, and through our members, we can do, you know, lots of work that we haven't even thought of before.
So by joining as individuals or institutions, you can join in at many different levels. And so we just invite you to register as individuals. And we do have formalized partnerships with institutions through cooperation agreements, and also through a consortium of ethics in higher education, which is a paid membership, to have of institutions who kind of are really committing to this vision and who want to really strategically work together and have a space for in-depth sharing and strategizing. And it's possible to join as an individual. It's a kind of professional association, which can be of assistance to you and you can assist. And it's also possible to join as an institution, a higher education institution. And so if you're interested in either, we're here to go into that into more depth. My email is there. Rajula's email is there. We invite you to contact us. Don't hesitate if you want to talk more. That's what we're here for. I thank you for your attention. I thank you for your participation, your vibrant participation throughout these 4 days. And I thank you, Rajula, for giving me this moment to share a little more about globethics.net. Back to you.
Thank you, Ms. Preston, for the wonderful exposure. We are always awakened, enriched, enlightened, and energized by the smiling face and energetic talk of the Christian Council. We will follow the footsteps laid by you and ready to climb the ladder of ethics to have a win-win strategy in the world of research. The digital library will lead the researchers to acquire an endless ocean of knowledge beyond boundaries. Thank you very much, dear Ms. Council, for the wonderful speech with a brilliant information and exposure on various research resources. Well, we came to the end of the 4 days course on research ethics with lot of positive vibes and applauses. Daily, the chat box is overflowing with lot of messages of appreciation and admiration. On the whole, the faculty development program, that is the course on research ethics, is really knowledgeable exploration in different dimensions of ethics, coupled with clarification and updation of ideas in different perspectives. The program is highly useful to the research scholars, research supervisors, and all who are directly and indirectly associated with higher education. I must thank all the resource persons from day 1 to day 4 for their expertise, generosity in sharing the knowledge, patience in adhering to the queries, and sparing their precious time on all the days, which is a rare phenomenon among the educators. Area-wise, the resource persons are from Geneva, Switzerland, from India, covering the places from Northeast to the southern part of India. That is the speciality of the program. The group headed by Professor Karna Pushpanadam, not just group in name, but are real intellectuals having wide proficiency in the subject and topic dealt and vested on them. The topic covered by them are ethics and its importance by Professor Karna Pushpanadam, the curator of the program, the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, ethical principles, global, national, regional, and institutional perspectives by Dr. Amit Chaudhary, University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya, scientific conduct, ethics with respect to science and research by Dr. Jason Mammon, educationalist, Kerala, ethical foundation for global partnership by Ms. Christian Council, strategic development and global partnership, Globethics Net, Geneva, Switzerland, research ethics in real perspective by Dr. Ignace Haas, program executive, online ethics library, Globethics Net, Geneva, Switzerland, and publication ethics and practice by Dr. Shnaoli Chakraborty Acharya, West Bengal State University, Kolkata. And the knowledge contribution by Dr. Jose Nandika is greatly acknowledged by all on all the days. Dr. Shnaoli has covered A to Z of publication. Nothing is left out. The pitfalls, plagiarism, choosing the right journal, all with evidences, which is very interesting for the researchers. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your wonderful presentation today. Everyone is special in their own way, the deliverance of ideas and reflection of the same by answering the queries too. I acknowledge and appreciate the precious presence of the valuable, learned, and gifted personalities on all the days together, and I'm really indebted to each one of them for the wonderful deliberation of knowledge for the sake of research in various capacities across the world. You played your part very well, not only in nurturing the present generation, but you put the seed and laid solid foundation for the future generation to grow wisely and ethically in the field of research. Of the internal quality assurance cell of Rani Government College for Women, Tirunelveli, I thank you all for the successful conduct of the program. My special appreciation goes to Rajula for your untiring efforts and consistent commitment for the successful conduct of the program throughout, right from planning till the execution. I do recognize the work done by Sohini and Irene for their valuable presence. I must acknowledge and appreciate the active participation of the participants who are not just listeners, but their involvement is expressed in terms of queries, which at times left us astonished and speechless. Goodbye to everyone with the hope of seeing you in yet another program with more fruitful and worthy sessions and deliberations. It's really a great inspiration to the knowledge society. Thank you, Vanessa. Now over to Rajula.
Thank you, darling Selvi, ma'am. And thank you for wrapping up the program. And you've been with me from the beginning till the end. And I especially thank all the speakers, the National Director for the Jose Nandikara, Ms. Christine Housel, who has been with me all the times, anytime I needed some advice from her. And also she is always helping us in moderation, plus introducing the resources that the Globethics.net head office has for the research scholars, and her contribution is remarkable all the time. And I especially thank Dr. Darling Selvi for choosing to work with us, and thank you very much, ma'am. And my heartfelt thanks to the curator, Dr. Pushpanadam, and his team. And thank you very much, each and every one of you. Thank you very much. And I do have some instruction for the participants. The quiz will be communicated to you, and you will receive a mail by tomorrow. It will have the link for the test that you need to take. The test link will be open on 19th from 2 to 3 p.m. and you need to submit, and after 3 p.m. it will not be active. You will get 2 certificates. When you share your feedback, you're getting your participation certificate, and your grades will come in a certificate after the assessment is done. And thank you, each and every one of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And it was an excellent organization. Even we met online, but it seems that, we were in person discussing all the issues in a more lively way. And thanks to Globethics for this. Thank you for the Jose. Thank you, Dr. Christine, and regards to Rajula and Dr. Darling Selvi. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you for your leadership, your guidance, your inspiration, and your teaching. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
we look forward to working with you again.
For the
Thank you.
you.